I said leading up to the last couple of days for the Canes, the Carolina Hurricanes, obviously, that they were more than one good game away from solving their problems, right? One good game, now you needed consistency. Last night challenged that theory. They were up 6-1 on the best team in the NHL and the defending Stanley Cup champion Golden Knights. That's not just one good game, right? That's not beating Ottawa 4-1. That's being up 6. That's boat racing the best team in the NHL and getting the like checking off all the hits, doing all the things that made it so enjoyable. Andrei Svechnikov played well. We'll talk about it. Here's Svech on the importance of this win going forward for the team.
Does this feel like a momentum changing win for the rest of the season?
Yeah, I mean, I can't promise anything, to be honest. We don't panic. We don't do anything. We know how good we are, as a team. Everyone got to do their details, and we're going to be successful this season for sure.
So let's look at the details then, Andre. Most importantly, it was the moments that just incrementally made me more excited, right? Just a little bit at a time before you know it, you're in like a full-blown like ecstasy. Andrei Svech, I would say maybe even more so than the goal, but we'll talk about the goal, putting Alex Pietrangelo into the boards. That part right there, I was like, ooh, look at this.
We always reference movies whenever I'm filling as a
of
producer.
Of course. Always.
And I referenced Bull Durham yesterday. He announced his return with authority.
with authority.
4
exactly.
hits on the night.
But specifically the first, it was the first period, and he's a guy coming off an injury that's been dealing with an injury. It's like, okay, he's feeling good, right? He's not protecting himself. You don't make that hit in that style if you are like, I have an upper body injury that I want to protect. And also tone setter, right? Not being afraid. I'm one of the big dudes, top guys for this team, and I'm going to act like it. And then he scores the goal, which is big for a guy, right? So the physicality was big for a guy coming off an injury. That happened to be Svech. The goal scoring was big for a guy that had been in a long scoring drought, right? Hadn't scored darn near anything this year as far as goals scored. Here's Andrei Svechnikov on scoring the first goal.
Especially your first game back off injury, just how good it felt to score first tonight and kind of get the offense going for the team?
Yeah, very good. Like I said, it gave me a little bit confident, and first goal always important for the team, and you kind of feel the game right away, and it was important for sure.
That first goal was a big goal, but that's not it, right? It's just every little thing that happened was like, all right, that was something I was worrying about. Kotkaniemi scoring a goal. It had been 10 straight games of no points for Jesperi Kotkaniemi, and not by way of not effort, right? He's had his chances and hasn't been able to put them home. He scores a goal. That's big for a guy that had been on a 10-game point-scoring drought.
Almost took out his own player, Jalen Chatfield, in the process.
You do what you have to do. Chatfield played well. Sebastian Aho, going back to the first goal that Svech scored, there was a play a couple before that where Aho took like 3 shots on a possession, and I loved it. I loved the aggressiveness. Didn't work out for him. When he started he just started setting everybody up. 3 power play assists for Sebastian Aho. That is, again, top guys. That entire road trip they were on where they didn't play great, how many times after the game did Rod Brind'amour said, we need more from our top guys? And that is regardless on whether you're finding the back of the net or not. So Svech scores, Aho sets everybody up. Your top guys played well against the best team in the NHL. Here's Rod Brind'amour on Sebastian Aho, assisting on all 3 power play goals.
Coach Rod, Sebastian Aho assisted all 3 power play goals tonight. Just how important was his effort trying to generate chances?
Well, listen, every power play, they all start the same. There's a face-off. And if you can start with that possession, you're going to get to run your set. You're going to get a chance right off the bat usually, and we were able to do that tonight, and that's him. And so that was a big part of it. And the execution was high, which Svech has a lot to do with that. But again, that part of the game, it's so important.
That part of the game is important, and I would say any part of the game that Aho is involved in is important.
Honestly, a very underrated performance last night by Sebastian Aho.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give you that. I was talking with around the office here with Paul, who many of you know, Paul Ihander, and he was calling him like the quietest superstar, and it kind of makes sense, right? He's controlling everything, and then everybody else scores the goal, and he contributed to 3 of them. And then there's the Pyotr Kochetkov of it, right? We going into last night's game, I thought that entire game was going to be about Kochetkov. I thought it was going to be about making sure his confidence stayed high, making sure he was establishing himself as in the post-Ronta part, like being part of the roster portion of the schedule. It's not an easy task going up against Vegas as a goalie, and he played really, really well. And he needs to play really, really well. And the team needed him to see him play really, really well. That's kind of what I'm saying here. There's a lot of good that happened last night, obviously. And you know, the last 2 goals are what the last 2 goals are. They let their foot off the gas. You'd rather they didn't, but when you build up a 6-1 lead, you build up some leeway for yourself.
2 goals. What 2 goals?
Exactly. I fell asleep. Although you wouldn't have because it was exciting. There was a lot that took place that I feel like was important for the people executing it. But it was also important for everybody else to see that person executing it, right? Svech looked like his old self. I think that was important for Svech, right? Building up his confidence, getting back into a rhythm. But I think it was important for the rest of the team to see it. Kokiniemi scores. I think that's important for Kokiniemi. I think that's important for everybody else to see it. Michael Bunting had another good day, right? Which is... he's been productive at times this year, for a lot of times this year, but also it's important for everybody to see that Bunting can still get his while some of the other guys that are hopefully going to be more productive down the stretch continue to get theirs. Kochetkov plays well. I think it's important for everybody else to see Kochetkov play well so they're not terrified that he's now the guy in net. Because let's remember, at the beginning of this year, the roster was Freddie, Ronta, and Kochetkov was playing with the Syracuse Crunch. So now, by way of injury or a medical situation, I guess would be the better way to put it with Freddie, and Ronta getting a case of the yips and having to be sent down, Kochetkov's your number 1. It's important for guys to say, oh, look at that. We just boat raced the best team in the NHL by record with him in goal. That gives me more confidence that all of our top goals are still within reach, even with him having to take on a much bigger role than we anticipated.
And you can also tell that the team itself was playing with a little more confidence with Kochetkov in net last night. There's been times in the season where it almost feels like the team's been timid to play. You know, they've been a little more conservative in passing and even their attacks just because they don't want to give up breakaway. And I know we saw 2 kind of breakaway goals last night, 2 kind of cheap ones, but it's going to happen.
The team recognized it, right? Like we're going to talk about this later on. I think the team was having his back a bit. I just think last night was such a big deal for the Canes. Obviously, they have to build on it. It can't be we play to the level of our opponent when we play the Golden Knights. We are the best team in the league. When we play against, and I'm like speaking as if I am someone on the team, when we play against another team who's not as good, we play to their level. It can't be that. They have to build on what they did last night. But man, did they need so many of those things to happen. It's a big win.